a master storyteller. I feel like we are going to be getting something that is going to rip our hearts out. So I am going to tread carefully and try to be cautious. The slow burn is so good. Hello my wonderful friends, how are we? If you're new to my channel, my name is Sarsana. Welcome. And today we are going to be doing a reading vlog where you guys tell me what your favorite high fantasy or fantasy romance books are and I will read them. I have this poll going on my Instagram. So the first book recommendation that came through is for Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. You guys know me well. You guys know me so well. And you know what? I have Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson right here, and she's a thick girl. We got a hardback right here. All I know is that it's a part of the Stormlight Archives. Before you read like the Way of Kings Stormlight Archive series, you're supposed to read the first arc of the Mistborn saga, which is Mistborn, The Well of Ascension, and Hero of Ages. I have this on my TBR. It's been sitting there and I'm actually glad you guys put that in the poll because I've been dying to get to this. So this is a great opportunity for me to pick up Mistborn. I'm really excited. I have no idea what this is about. All I know is that it's written by Brandon Sanderson and we are going to have some crazy world building and we are going to have some very interesting connections between our POVs. I already know it's going to be multiple POVs. To get some background on it, let's read the little blurb in the book, shall we? So it says, what if the whole world were a dead, blasted wasteland? For 1,000 years the ash fell and no flowers bloomed. For 1,000 years the sky slaved in misery and lived in fear. For 1,000 years the Lord Ruler, the Silver of Infinity, reigned with absolute power and ultimate terror, divinely invincible. Then when hope was so long lost that not even its memory remained, a terribly scarred, heartbroken half-ska rediscovered it in the depths of the Lord Ruler's most hellish prison. Kelsier snapped and found in himself the powers of a Mistborn, a brilliant thief and natural leader. He turned his talents to the ultimate caper with the Lord Ruler himself as the mark. Kelsier recruits the underworld's elite, the smartest and most trustworthy Allomancers, each of whom shares one of his many powers, and all of whom relish a high-stakes challenge. Then Kelsier reveals his ultimate dream, not just the greatest heist in history, but the downfall of the divine despot. But even with the best criminal crew ever assembled, Hell's plan looks more like the ultimate long shot until luck brings a ragged girl named Vin into his life. Like him, she's a half-ska orphan, but she's lived a much harsher life. Vin has learned to expect betrayal from everyone she meets. She will have to learn trust if Kel is to help her master powers of which she never dreamed. This sounds really good already, and the fact that his name is Kel instead of Cal, like Kaladin from the Stormlight Archives, is pretty interesting. We also have the similarities between there being some kind of slavery happening throughout this book as well, and them breaking free and discovering powers. Seems right up my alley with our Brandon Sanderson. I am going to go ahead and start this. I'm really excited, so I will catch up with you guys when I start reading this. I'm so excited. Bye. Hello friends, we are checking in about Mistborn. So I reached chapter 16. I'm on part 2 right now and I am almost 50% of the way through. I'm having a pretty good time. Brandon Sanderson's work is always magnificent. The world building in these books are just incredible. In Mistborn we have Vin. She is, I think, like a teenager, and she was working for these not so great people who were abusing her, beating the crap out of her. She was lucky she wasn't sold to like prostitute homes and stuff like that. We have Kelsier. He is sort of like Kaladin from the Stormlight Archives, and Kelsier is someone who got in trouble for breaking into basically this god's home. He was sent to these caves where he had to mine, and he survived. Not many people survived that, and he has cuts and stuff all over his arms, and now he has a group of people that are rebelling against this god. Things are pretty interesting so far. Kelsier found Vin, saved her from her situation. Now Vin is working with Kelsier and his group. She is learning how to wield her magic. The way their magic system is very interesting. They are basically consuming metals. Using these metals, they're able to heal. They're able to throw these metals out sort of like bullets and then harm people if they need to defend themselves. They can pull these metals back to themselves, and it's just super cool how this magic system is surrounded by metals. I feel like this is a lot easier to consume than the Stormlight Archives. I see why many people are recommending readers to start with the Mistborn series before going into Stormlight Archives, because the Stormlight Archives is very hefty. I'm having a really good time. I'm going to keep reading. I just wanted to give you guys a quick update. Not much to tell without spoiling you guys, but it's pretty good so far. One thing I can tell you is that Kelsier and Vin, they have banded together, and Vin is basically Kelsier's mentee. Kelsier is mentoring her to use her powers. They are basically going to be defeating this godlike figure to bring down the Final Empire. The Final Empire is keeping Ska, which is their form of slaves. These slaves, they want to be equal, so they want to bring down this Final Empire. They are striving for a better life. Don't we love that in epic fantasy? Okay, so that's it for me. I am gonna go and continue reading this, and I will check back in with you guys when I have more of an update. Bye. Hello, my wonderful, gorgeous friends. I finished Mistborn, and you guys, I feel like I'm so behind because I haven't started all of Brandon Sanderson's books yet. His writing is just so fantastic. Brandon Sanderson is a master storyteller, and I'm so upset that I haven't read all of his books yet. Mistborn was written before we got our Stormlight Archive series, and seeing how much he has developed his writing as an author in the Stormlight Archives and then reading Mistborn, I can see the differentiation between his writing. However, if that was the beginning, I just feel like so humbled because his writing is so good in Mistborn. This book is a solid 5-star. I had such a good time reading this. I could not put this down. There is such a rich world in this book. There is such a wonderful magic system. It's so unique, it's so different, and it just makes you want to sit down and consume this book until you are done. This book is just everything. I had given you guys a little bit of an update. So we have Kelsier, we have Vin, and we have their crew. We have found family within this crew. It is like a heist sort of book where they are trying to bring down the Final Empire, and they are trying to get rid of their god. Basically, this god is called their Lord Ruler, and he is someone that has lived on for centuries. He has an immense amount of power. And Kelsier and Vin, they have been through so much in their past. Very different past, mind you. Vin is basically Kelsier's mentee. He is teaching her how to master her Mistborn powers. He is also taking care of his entire crew, all of the Ska, as much as he possibly can, so he can get them all ready for this big battle to bring down the Final Empire. There is a little bit of romance on Vin's end. I literally held on to every little piece of information that we were getting in this romance. It is sweet, there's no spice in it, but it is just so wholesome, and it is so endearing because Vin has been through so much, and to see her find love and to find a group of friends and kindness in this found family that she has created for herself is so wholesome. I'm really glad I picked this up. I have no regret. I cannot wait to pick up the rest of the books in the first arc. I believe the next book is The Well of Ascension, and then we have The Hero of Ages, which, by the way, both book titles were mentioned in Mistborn, which is absolutely phenomenal, which just makes me want to pick up the next few books. However, that's not what this reading vlog is for. We are going to continue to read other book suggestions that you have suggested that I read. However, let's get into a little bit about the magic system. If some of you are still on the fence about picking it up, let me see if I can convince you, okay? That's how much I love this book. I am trying to convince you. So let me know if it works. So we have allomancy in this book, right? And allomancy is where mistings, they are individuals who can consume one metal and burn it one at a time. But mistborns, they can consume multiple metals and burn them. And what this essentially does is it helps them do certain things, get certain kinds of powers, such as super strength, or being able to pull something towards them or push something towards them with that is metal object. It is just so cool. They can fly, they can jump super high, they can run for 16-20 hours at a time without giving up, and can stay awake when they are super injured and they want to just go to sleep or pass out, and they don't. It is so cool. This magic system is just absolutely wonderful. Did I convince you to read it? I hope I did. Let me know. And the next book that I decided to pick up, Quicksilver by Callie Hart. I have heard so many of you guys raving about this book, and a few of you actually recommended that I read this. And considering that this just came out and it has been recently blowing up, and for so many of you to have recommended that I read this, I am going to start it. This is a different cover from what I've seen online. The cover that I've seen many with is this, basically. And when I saw this cover on Amazon, I had to pick it up because, well, I like this so much better than the original cover. I don't like people on my covers, so I went with this one. I honestly have no idea what this book is about, so let's see. Maybe I should just go into it blind, but a summary couldn't hurt. I just want like a quick summary. Wow. It has 4.52 rating on Goodreads. Okay, so it says, do not touch the sword, do not turn the key, do not open the gate. In the land of the unforgiving desert, there isn't much a girl wouldn't do for a glass of water. 24-year-old Saris Fane is good at keeping secrets. No one knows about the strange powers she possesses, or the fact that she has been picking pockets and stealing from the Undying Queen's reservoirs for as long as she can remember. But a secret is like a knot. Sooner or later, it is bound to come undone. When Saris comes face to face with death himself, she inadvertently reopens a gateway between realms and is transported to a land of ice and snow. The Fae have always been the stuff of myth, of legend, of nightmares, but it turns out they're real, and Saris has landed herself right in the middle of centuries-long conflict that might just get her killed. The first of her kind to tread the frozen mountains of Ivela? I'm so bad at this. In over 1,000 years, Saris mistakenly binds herself to Kingfisher, a handsome Fae warrior who has secrets and nefarious agendas of his own. He will use her alchemist's magic to protect his people, no matter what it costs him or her. Death has a name. It is Kingfisher of the Ajun Gate. His past is murky, his attitude stinks, and he's the only way Saris is going to make it home. Be careful of the deals you make, dear child. The devil is in the details. Ooh, okay. All right. Has definitely got me intrigued. Okay. I will go and read this and update you guys when I have a reading update for you. Bye. Hello, my wonderful friends. How are we? I am checking in about Quicksilver. I have gotten almost to like 30% of the way through. I'm on chapter 12 right now. So far, the story is going pretty well. Not much world building has happened yet. I have come to know our FMC. Her name is Saris, and our MMC, his name is Kingfisher. We have seen two parts of the world, I guess. One is Zilvarin and the other is Ivelia. I hope I'm saying that right. I am checking the pronunciation because our author has given us a section where we get the pronunciation handed out to us. So I'll just try to see if I can show you guys real quick. But it's pretty cool how our author gave us that pronunciation page because people like myself really need the help. I could really use the help with stuff like that, so I really appreciate it. Okay, so right now some things have happened. This is not a spoiler because this was kind of in the description of the book, so don't come at me. But basically Ceres, she was about to be killed because she had stolen something, and when she was getting killed she saw a sword in the ground and she was trying to get it out so she can defend herself and get revenge on the person who was trying to kill her. She has these powers, these alchemist powers that arise, and she's able to take the sword out of the ground, which is unheard of amongst humans because it's supposed to like burn your skin, the concept of it and the concept of her powers. And she's able to like manipulate metals, I guess, in a way. She has transported herself or opened up a portal where death has come for her and taken her to the Fey land, which is Ivelia. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm looking at the pronunciation, but I might be butchering it as well, so sorry if I am. That's where she went, and she hasn't heard of fays or anything of the such. She's heard about it as like a fairy tale kind of story. She didn't even think that it could be a possibility of a reality. So now that she knows about fays, she's trying to adjust to their world. She has left her brother behind in a world which is Zilvarin, and there is a mad queen. She doesn't like the Fae. She closed off all the portals, so she is trying to get back to her brother. She wants to know if he's alive. If he's not, she wants to be able to bury him. If he is alive, she wants to save him from whatever may be happening to him because she's positive that the queen has retaliated for her opening the portal and leaving, especially with the sword, because that was something that the queen was fighting with the Fae king Bellokin with. But yeah, things are pretty interesting so far. I haven't really found a reason to see much hype in it. I am still pretty early on and it is pretty good. It is holding my interest, and I like the characters I have met so far. Their relationships are very endearing, and it's just a good old time. I will give you guys an update when I have more of an update for you. Bye. Hello friends, I'm checking in with you guys about Quicksilver. I have gotten to almost 80% of this book and I have this much left. I'm enjoying it a lot more than I was in the beginning. It was a kind of a slow start. However, it has developed so much. We have so many different things that are happening right now, and Ceres and Kingfisher's relationship has definitely soared, and the magic system is starting to pick up. I'm seeing what all the hype is about this book. We are seeing a whole different side of Kingfisher that I'm absolutely loving. The enemies are definitely lovers now. I'm also really enjoying Ceres's powers. I love her development so far, and I am eating up the found family aspect of this book too. I didn't see it at first, but I'm starting to see why Ceres is becoming more and more into her powers, and she's becoming stronger by the day. And Kingfisher has definitely pushed her to her limits. She's really growing, and she is gaining respect from Kingfisher and his army. Yeah, the story is definitely developing. I am having a really good time. The romance is so sweet. They are really starting to get to know each other. It is just becoming so much more enjoyable for me. After I hit like 60% of the book, it has exponentially picked up. So I am really nervous to see what is going to happen in the last 20-some% of this book, because there's things happening in this book that I did not expect. Like, I don't know what to expect from this book. I don't know what I expect to happen next. I have no guesses, like zero. I don't even know when we're gonna get the second book, so that makes me a little bit nervous. I feel like we are going to be getting something that is going to rip our hearts out. So I am going to tread carefully and try to be cautious. I'm going to go back to reading and I will update you guys when I have more of an update for you. Bye. Hello, my wonderful friends. I have a reading update for you. I finished Quicksilver. What to say about this book? So at first, I wasn't sure what to make of this book. I was intrigued from the beginning. There was a lot of things happening and I liked seeing Ceres be a total badass from the beginning. She had gone through a lot. I love a strong, badass female, and that's exactly what we have in this book. Seeing Ceres discover her powers and getting more and more powerful by the day was what I love about fantasy books. You give me a character with character development, found family, a little bit of enemies to lovers, fated mate. I am all there. I love the fact that we had so many different kinds of creatures in this book. There are so many different kinds of magical powers, and some of these magical creatures or powers we have probably heard of in other fantasy books. What makes it really well-rounded and put together is the way Callie Hart wrote these characters out. I know that she is a dark romance author. For an author to jump ship from one genre to another is incredible. I loved her writing. I loved how she built her characters in a way where I felt like I can connect with them in the pages, and I really liked Kingfisher and Ceres' relationship. I hope I'm saying her name right. I looked at the pronunciation and Lord knows if I'm saying it right or not, but I'm trying. And I really enjoyed myself throughout this book. I gave this a 5-star. I love the way that it ended. I'm so happy that we weren't left on like a big cliffhanger that made me want to throw my book. Like the way it ended was very peaceful, I guess. I'm really excited to see what happens in the next book because don't get me wrong, like it's not all sweet and, you know, like nicely tied in a bow or whatever. Like there's more to the story, and you can tell from the way this book ended and the way the story took place. So I'm really excited to see what happens in the next book. I believe it's coming out in October, and let me tell you, I'm going to be picking it up as soon as it is released because this was such a fun ride. And also, just one more thing that I have to say about this book is that Kingfisher is definitely book boyfriend material. The way he is so protective over Ceres, the way his emotions develop throughout the book is everything. Like, he goes from broody to loving. He has suffered so much, and to see how he has been able to heal because of Ceres was also like, it hit the heartstrings right where it needed to. So yes, that's all I have to say about this book. I'm gonna stop rambling about it, but if you guys haven't checked this out yet, please do. Please do. This is so good. I see what all the hype is about. And if you do read it, I want to hear your thoughts about it. Instagram also suggested that I read this book next. I have heard a lot about this book, and I've heard some really good things and I've heard some really bad things. And a lot of the things that I've heard that are bad per se is that it is a imitation of Throne of Glass. And I hate it when people compare books to other books like that. However, I have seen a lot of books where the author made the storyline for their book very similar to Throne of Glass. It's okay to have inspiration from other books and put it into yours, but it's another thing to have so many things that are relatable to another story, and it just makes it feel like it's like a repetitive storyline but with different characters, a different world. I'm going to go into this book completely blindly. I'm going to give it a chance because how many people have recommended this and how much you guys love this book. So I'm going to give it a chance. I don't like judging books based off of what everyone else says. I want to judge this myself. I want to read it and I want to form an opinion on my own. So the book that I'm going to be reading next in this vlog is Lady of Darkness by Melissa K. Roerich. I'm excited to dive into this book solely because of how beautiful this cover is. I'm really excited. I really hope it's not an imitation of Throne of Glass, because I will be super disappointed. As soon as like you read the back, it says assassin and like assassin lord and stuff. I have no idea. I see Fae Fire Prince. I'm not going to read it. I'm not going to read the blurb in the back. I'm literally just gonna dive right in and hopefully I like it. But yeah, I'm really excited now. I had to get the physical copy. I know that it's on Kindle Unlimited, but working full time on a computer and then editing for hours at a time on a computer, my eyes just want to break. Sometimes I don't even want to read on my Kindle, even though it's like nicer for my eyes to look at like a dark screen and it's a little bit friendlier towards my eyes. Sometimes I just want to take a complete break from all of that and just have like a good paperback or hardcover where I'm looking at actual pages. So I just really needed that. I'm gonna go ahead and start Lady of Darkness, and I will give you guys updates when I have more of an update for you. Bye. Hello friends, I have a reading update for you about the Lady of Darkness. Right now, I am really in love with this book. I am almost at 70% of the way through, so I have a little bit more to go, but let me tell you my thoughts so far. Far from reading this book, I can tell that it's a dark fantasy romance, and I am in love with how we have so many different characters and so many different characters with different types of magics. So for example, we have fays, we have vampires, we have witches, we have shifters. There's like a divide in between the human realm and the fae realm where all of these creatures reside. And because of this, the humans don't go to the Fae realm and the Fae are not able to come to the human realm. However, there are some human beings who are looking for refuge in the Fae realm for some reason that I still have questions about. There are Fae that are able to transport themselves into the human realm even though there's some kind of a ward that is supposed to stop them from entering. In the human realm right now, we have many different characters. Our FMC's name is Scarlet. She is like a assassin. She's a total badass. We love that. And she's a part of this syndicate, I guess. And there is an assassin lord. Sort of like if you read Throne of Glass, we have Scarlet and she's a total badass. She's very strong. She knows how to fight. She is a master at killing. Whenever she is out and about, she has a hood on her head and she has all these knives belted in. She has silver hair. We love that. Something had happened between her and the assassin lord about a year ago from the timeline of the story, and we don't know what that is yet. And I am really interested to see what it is, because it was Scarlet, Nuri, and Juliet that they're like not blood sisters, but they're all orphans who were taken in by the syndicate, and they all trained to become these assassin wraith kind of thing. And Juliet, something had happened to her, and it's just Scarlet and Nuri now. And Scarlet has been kind of withdrawn and she is living in some kind of a castle. She's becoming like a proper lady, and the way the timeline is set up, I guess there's like kings and queens and royalty. There's like horses and carriages. You get the gist of the timeline. Scarlet is trying to keep up her appearance as being a lady, and she has to like secretly train because it's like looked down upon when women are fighting. Scarlet does not like the title of being called lady, and one day while she is training, she meets the general of the king's army, and his name is Riker. Later down the line, we find out a lot of other things about how we have humans in the human realm who think they're human, but in reality, they are actually a different type of creature, may it be fae, vampire, witch, shifter. It is really interesting. There is a lot of mystery around this, and there's another mystery that our characters are trying to solve, and that is the fact that there are kids from the syndicate that are going missing. And Scarlet and Nuri, they're very upset about this, and this is hitting Nuri a little too much also. And Scarlet just getting back into being a wraith assassin mode. She's back at it. She's trying to figure out what is going on. The assassin lord has also given her a task to kill somebody off, and she hasn't done it yet, so she is getting pressured from the assassin lord because of it. And he is really brutal, like super violent. Something just doesn't sit right. So we will see what happens. I fear I'm not going to get all of my questions answered in this book because I'm almost 70% of the way through and I have so many questions and nothing has gotten answered yet. And we are still, I think there's like 5 books in this series too, so I don't even know what's going to happen. The slow burn is so good. Things are just starting to heat up between them, so I'm really excited to see where that goes as well. So I'm gonna get back to reading, but I will give you guys an update as soon as I have an update for you. But I'm really enjoying this book. I'm so glad that this book was recommended to me. This is my first Melissa K. Rorick book, and I'm really enjoying her writing. I've never read a book by her before, but she is getting up there with some of my favorite authors. I'm really enjoying it. Alright guys, I will talk to you later. Bye. Hello my wonderful friends, how are we? I have a reading update for you guys, and after this last reading update we are going to close out this vlog. So I had given you guys sort of like a synopsis of what The Lady of Darkness is about by Melissa K. Rorick, and since my last update I have finished this wonderful book. I was very hesitant to start this book because I've heard so many different opinions about it, and I really did want to check it out on my own at a later time to see if I liked it or not, because you never know. And I am so glad I picked this up so much sooner, and I picked it up in this vlog because you guys got to kind of see how my emotions had progressed as I was reading this book, and I am kind of speechless at how much I had enjoyed this book. I could see how there is a lot of related patterns in the plot line for this book versus how it wasn't in Throne of Glass, and I see it. I definitely see how the storylines correlate. However, there is so many things that are different about this book that makes it a whole different kind of book. So when you hear that it is just like Throne of Glass, it is a complete imitation, there's nothing original about it, take it with a grain of salt, because you never know what you're going to feel about a book until you read it. And that is what this book was for me. I am so glad that this was recommended to me and I picked it up because this has become an absolute new favorite. I love the characters. I was not too big of a fan of Scarlet. However, I love Soren. I even like Callan a little bit, and Nuri is one of my absolute favorite characters in this book as well. I loved every page that she was on. Her interaction with our characters was, and I honestly hope I see her more, and maybe hopefully she has her own like spin-off series or something, because I would really love to get to know her a little bit more. I also really loved Cassius and how protective he was over Scarlet. Their relationship is so unique and so authentic. I loved every bit of it. They were the definition of best friend. I don't want to like tell you guys too much about the rest of this book anymore because I don't want to give you guys any spoilers, but know that I really enjoyed it. I gave this like a 4.5, I believe. I started to have a really difficult time dealing with Scarlet's reactions to certain things. Like, she was super dramatic and a little eccentric at some parts of this book because there would be something crazy happening and they needed to like get out of that situation. But she sits there and throws a freaking tantrum, and it is so immature, and it was really cringy and really hard to read through. So I really absolutely hated those parts of this book. I really wanted to like reach through the book and punch her in her face and be like, wake up, because there's things going down and your little tantrum is going to get everyone killed. It was so dumb how she was reacting to certain things. Yeah, I'll just leave it as that. But the rest of the story, it really picked up after I had talked to you guys. Even when I was talking to you guys in my last clip, it was starting to pick up a little bit more and everything was starting to sort of come together. I still have a lot of questions. There are a lot of things that have gone unanswered, but there's some things that have been answered. And especially towards like the last few chapters of this book, it was literally like info after info after info. Some of it we also like saw like little steady nuggets of information that can help you come to the conclusion of what happened at the end of this book. So it's nothing like super secretive, I guess, even though the author, I guess, tries to give us a sense of mystery there. It was really easy for me to pick up. That was fine. I wasn't really looking for a big mystery, and I really liked how this book left us on a cliffhanger. I usually hate cliffhangers, but I don't really mind it in this instance because this series is finished and there's 5 books, so I have 4 more books to get through, and I'm going to slowly read them. However, I really enjoyed this. I had such a good time. Scarlett could use some work. However, that's her own like personality flaw, so I can't really like say that there was something wrong with this story for that. It just didn't make sense to me because she's like a 20-something-year-old woman throwing hissy fits at inappropriate moments where she's supposed to be like a badass assassin. It just didn't add up to me, so that just didn't line up. But other than that, we're good. This was a solid 4.5 stars, and I can't wait to pick up the rest of this series. I'm gonna go over the books that I had read throughout this vlog and what I gave it as a rating, and maybe like a sentence kind of review because I've already kind of gone through all of this and I don't want to bore you guys with the deets. So the first book that I read in this vlog is the first Mistborn book, The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson, and I'm so glad that I had picked this up because I was going to get to it eventually, but knowing that someone else wanted me to read it, I'm just so glad that this book was brought up and I was able to read it. I'm just so ecstatic. I can't wait to read the rest of this series. The magic system is so unique. The world building and everything was just so rich. I had the best time ever, and I can't wait to see what else Vin does. She's gonna become a total badass. Like, I can already imagine what it's going to be like. So I'm really excited and I can't wait to see how this trickles into the Stormlight Archive. This was the easiest 5 stars I've ever given. And then next I picked up Quicksilver, and this is a kind of a new release. I think it came out earlier this year and it has been blowing up on Book Talk and Instagram and YouTube and everywhere you can possibly find a book channel. And honestly, I'm so glad I picked this up, and for like the first time ever when a book is hyped up is when I picked it up. So I don't know what that's gonna be like, but I had a really good time. I'm really happy that I picked this up and I had such a good time. I already missed Saris and Kingfisher and the rest of the crew already. Like, I can't wait for the second book to come out later this year and dive right back into this series. I am so happy that I picked this up also because this was my first Callie Hart book, and I know that she usually writes dark romances, but this is, I believe, her first fantasy. To see what she's done in this world, like her heart and soul is in this book and I can feel everything. I give this 5 stars. And then lastly, I'm not going to say anything else about this book. I gave this a 4.5 stars. So glad I picked this up. Thank you everybody that suggested I read this book, because this book was mentioned like multiple times, same as Quicksilver. So I'm so glad that I picked this up. I see what the hype is about, you guys. I see it and I'm so glad I did. And that is all for today's vlog. I hope you guys had a great time. Let me know if you've read any of these books and what your thoughts are on it, or if there are any books that you would like me to read in a vlog and review. I would love to do one of these again because this was so much fun. I literally had 2 5 stars in this vlog and a 4.5 stars, which is pretty damn close to a 5 star, and I just had the absolute best time reading these books. So thank you for recommending these books to me. I really appreciate it. This has been the absolute best experience ever. Again, I really hope you had a wonderful time watching this vlog. I love you guys so much. If you have not subscribed to my channel yet, go ahead and make sure you hit that subscribe button. That way you will not miss any videos from me in the near future. And I will catch you on the next one. Bye.